it's Liz Yuille from Old Sables Craft. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you very much for joining me. Today's project is apparently falling to pieces. Let's stick that on properly. Is this little card. We're on Friends on Friday, and this is for a friend who has recently given birth. So why wouldn't I send a congratulations card? And this is obviously congratulations on birth card. So first things first, I actually got the idea for this off Pinterest. I've looked back as far as I can as to whose original idea it was, and I honestly can't find it. There's no watermark on the photo or anything like that, so whosever idea this was, thank you very much. And I would credit you, but I can't. So anyway, this uses the bookcase builder stamp set. This is in what I call the babies and kids section of the current annual catalogue. It's a really useful set. I'm using this as a baby card, but you can use this for all sorts of things. We've got stags, which you can use for a mail card. We've got a globe, we've got bottles, candlesticks, trophies, all sorts of things, and some really lovely sentiments. Great for scrapbooking or memories and more. So if you're looking for a stamp set to go with that, then this is brilliant. This is things like today's little moments become tomorrow's precious memories. I didn't know we were making memories together. I thought we were having fun. So really good for that sort of thing. Anyway, to this card. Now, the Pinterest picture that I spotted used the old classic label punch. No, it wasn't the classic label punch. Anyway, it was the everyday label punch. That was it, the everyday label punch, which of course we no longer carry. And that provided the shape for this. Now, I did look at using the everyday tabs punch, which is kind of okay-ish. Let me just bring in a scrap. But it's not brilliant because you're looking at the bit that's left. And the bit that's left is a bit, I mean, it would work as the bottom of a chest of drawers, but it's a bit flouncy. However, in the new autumn-winter catalogue, which if you haven't got a copy yet, please drop me a line and ask for one, and I'll put one in the post to you if you're in the UK. But it's got a new label punch, which you may have already seen either on my deboxing video or on various other YouTube videos. And this works brilliantly for the bottom of a chest of drawers. And it's this shape here. So, having thought I was going to have to use the Tabs for You punch, which would work, I can now use this, which is actually a much better shape, I think, for the bottom of a chest of drawers. And we like to stretch our stash. So, as I'm using quite a lot of stamps, I have put them all on a block so that I know what I'm doing. I'm going to change up the colour scheme a little. I keep throwing that out one side. This is for the birth of a girl. I'm going to change it up and use it for a boy. So I'm going to replace, I used Rich Razzleberry for the shelf and the books, and I used Real Red for the box and the blocks. I will keep the Real Red for the heart because you can't really have a heart any other colour. So I'll keep that, but I'm going to change out the Rich Razzleberry for Night of Navy and Pacific Point for the Real Red here. And then we will just make it into a boy's card. So let's start. There's not too much in the way of measurements. We've got a standard A6 card base, so that's A5 cut in half and scored down the middle, and this is thick Whisper White. I'm just going to bring in the measurements that we do need. I've very carefully written them down in my planner, and then put my planner over the other side of my room. So this is Marina Mist, so that's going to be instead of the pink pirouette, which is what I used here. And this is 2.5 by 3 inches, which is 6¼ by 7½ centimetres. And then I've got 3 other little bits of card, which are each 1/2 inch or 1¼ centimetres in depth, and 2 3/4 or inches or 7 centimetres in width. So let's start by making our chest of drawers. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring in my label punch. Now 3 inches is pretty much the width of the punch. So I'm just going to pop it in, and you'll see there's a straight edge here and here. So I'm just going to line my card up with that straight edge, so those will become the legs. And I'm just going to punch that bit out, which leaves me with my chest of drawers. Yay! So, used to be indecisive. I've just decided to change the order, actually, and there's a good reason for it. Honest, not just that I'm terminally stupid on occasions. So, folding my card base in half, I'm just going to pop this down here, and very gently with a pencil, and this is why you'll see why I'm doing it this way around in a moment, I'm going to just very gently mark the top of my chest of drawers, and apparently mark the top of my chest of drawers as well as mark the top of my chest of drawers. So I've got a very faint pencil mark there, and what that means is that I can do the stamping on the top of the chest of drawers first, leave the ink to dry, and then rub out the pencil mark. So I'm going to grab the blocks and my little A block and Pacific Point, and I've got a piece of scrap paper here because I'm going to want to do some stamping off. So let's ink that up, stamp off, and then I can just check the colour. So stamp off, and as ever, you guys are in my way. You do this so often. Excuse me. Let me see if I can work myself way round the camera. Because this is, you do really want to be exactly on top of your camera. And I'm having to put my head through the tripod in order to do that. So I will shut that. I will need it again. But rather than put my fist in it, I will close it up. Bottle, and the bottle I am doing in Soft Sky, which is the same colour I used before. And again, oops, sorry, that was me hitting the tripod with my head. Try and do that more carefully this time. Bottle. And for the lamp, I want So Saffron and Soft Suede. Now, I have done the lamp in 2 colours. So, what I'm going to do is open both ink pads first and ink up the lamp bit in So Saffron, and then just ink up the base of the lamp in Soft Suede. And I don't mind if I put a bit of So Saffron into my Soft Suede ink pad, but the other way around would not be good. Let me see if I can do this without hitting the tripod. There we go. Pretty perfect, if you can have something that's pretty perfect. Anyway, so that can now dry, because although it's dye-based ink and therefore it dries quite quickly, it's better if it's allowed to sort of sit for a wee bit. So whilst I'm doing stuff round the chest of drawers, let me grab Pacific Point again and the box, and just, now I think I am right in surmising, remembering. Yep, so that's at the end of the chest of drawers. So if I pop him there, are you in camera? Yes. And you'll notice I do, particularly with the more solid images, I do keep the stamp onto the card for a wee while, particularly as this is the thick Whisper White. It's not such a good stamping surface. It's perfectly fine, but the ordinary Whisper White will take the ink much quicker, so it's worth just bearing that in mind if you're using the thick Whisper White as your stamping surface. Now, my teddy bear, I want to have a slightly lighter shade, so I'm going to stamp him off and have him... Oh! I cut a little mask because I want him so that one foot is in the box. So I'm going to have him at a very slight angle. And if I use a mask, it means I can do that. So this is just on a post-it note. And there you are, you see our teddy bear is in the box, and I can keep the mask to use for later. So, we haven't had the weather report yet, have we? So the weather today is, because, you know, it's nearly, well, it is the middle of August. So today it's warm and muggy and completely overcast. So, otherwise known as a typical August day for this summer. So that's special. Right, congratulations. So this is a nice long thin stamp. So long and thin stamps, very easy to not keep straight when you put them on the block. So I would suggest you pop it down and then pick it up with your block, which in my case needs a clean. It's covered in filthy fingerprints. Night of Navy. On the original version this was Rich Razzleberry, but we like to change things up a wee bit. So if I bring that down a bit, I should be able to see okay. And again, just leave that there for a wee while. And there we go. It's a little smudged at the beginning of the word, but it's okay. And I need to leave my Night of Navy out because I need that for my shelf. And that will go, again, I'm going to pop that down and pick it up in a crooked fashion. Let's try and pick it up straight on the block. It's better. So this is going to be my shelf. Oh, and it's raining now. Even better. That's just perfect. Not convinced that's straight. Wouldn't like to get a ruler out, but okay, I do need that because I need it for my books. I might as well pop my books on now. So books I'm going to stamp off and pop on my shelf. I can see this easier than the pencil mark, so I'm not having to put my head in the tripod this time. But the pencil line is obviously quite difficult to see. Right, so I don't need the Night of Navy anymore. Soft suede and the picture frame. Ink that up. Perfect. And get rid of that. I do obviously still need the little heart for the middle, so we need that in red. So little heart. This is a teeny weeny little stamp. One of the things to think about when you're inking up your stamp, if you've got a tiny stamp like that, not going into the middle of the pad is quite good. If you just use the corner, you're less likely to ink up your block as well. Just as a quick tip. And it's not even Tuesday. Perhaps I should have saved that for a quick tip Tuesday. Top tip Tuesday. Right, okay, we are very nearly there. And we're on 14 minutes, which for me is going quite well. Right, little ducky. So soft, so no, not soft anything, so saffron. So let's pop our little duck down. And that's all our stamping. So I have got a really good white rubber, which I know does not smear. And it is that I am therefore using to take away the pencil mark. Right, so, okay, let's pop that to one side and build our, what are we building? Bookcase. Don't need the stamping mat anymore. And I was using that, I know I don't often use it, but because, again, thick whisper white and very solid stamping images, I thought I would be better off using the Stampin' Piercing mat. Right, so my 3 strips, I'm just going to pop some snail on the back. And for me, the key to getting these straight is to, or well spaced I should say, is to just pop them on, and that's an even, I don't know how well you can see that. The lighting is not brilliant because the weather is appalling. I do have my light, anyway, on. Right, so I've put one down, then snail on the next one, and just, let me just see where I put this. Oh yeah, no, that's fine. So getting the ends the same distance from the edge. Now I cut all of these from one piece of card, so I know that they are all exactly the same length. Just because something measures the same length doesn't mean that it necessarily is exactly the same length, which I know sounds odd, but the width of a line on your ruler or your trimmer can make a huge difference to the final width. Right, so I'm now, having put my 2 outside drawers down, I can now line this up so it's in the middle of the 3, so this gap and this gap are the same distance. And then I am going to take some perfect white enamel shapes, and these will be my drawer handles. And I'm just using the smallest size, and I mean you could use any other enamel shape. One of the reasons that I use this is that I have, I have 12. And because I was doing one as a sample and then one live, I needed 12 things that were the same. Otherwise I'd have to list 2 things on the product list. On the subject of which, if you would like to buy anything that I've used today, or indeed anything else, do please hop over to my online store. There's a link below. So that would be lovely. It helps me bring more of these. And if you wish to see more anyway, there is a subscription button about there, I think. Should be about there. So do please hit the subscribe button if you would like to see more. This is actually a remarkably sane video for me. Bit of Tombow. I think it's just been a long day. And I'm using Tombow. I'm using quite a lot for me, again. But I want to have some slippage, because I want this to line up nicely. Actually, I'm going to turn it on its side. So those have obviously got to sit on the chest of drawers. The teddy bear's ear needs to lean against the chest of drawers, otherwise it looks kind of weird that it's in the middle of the air. And there we go. Super duper. Okay, let's get rid of the scrap. So there we are, a boy and a girl version of a congratulations on the birth of your child card. Obviously you can write a sentiment on the inside with, you know, relevant message. But I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And if you have any comments you would like to leave, please do pop them in the description bar below. I always reply to comments. I don't always reply instantly. Not least of all because a lot of you are not in the UK, so you leave comments at odd times of the day and night, but I do always reply to comments, so please do leave a comment. Apart from anything else, what you say may, if it's particularly if it's a Top Tip Tuesday, may be useful for other people, so that would be great. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you again very soon. Thanks a lot. Bye.